from Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas, Root Sports brings you Houston Astros baseball. Tonight, the first-place Astros take on the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Good evening, everybody, from Minute Maid Park. Bill Brown and Alan Ashby, along with Julia Morales. She'll be joining us shortly. The Astros now have moved into first place by winning the first two games in this series, and this would be so sweet if they can get this one tonight, Ash.
Yeah, playing great ball at home, Brownie, right now. It's been a big part of what the Astros have done. 35 victories already at home, and now a chance with Scott Kazmir, the league leader in ERA, going to the hill.
This will be his Minute Maid Park debut as an Astro, and Kazmir couldn't have been much better than he was in his debut overall in Kansas City.
Yeah, that first night of the 3 games in Kansas City, the only win the Astros would get, it was all about Scott Kazmir that night. He was on the outside corner all night long. The changeup was a brilliant pitch over the evening for Scott. He spotted his fastball well, mixed in some breaking balls. But again, it really kind of came back to the location on the heater and the changeup. And we'll see if that stays as the game plan for Scott tonight against the Angels.
In the Houston lineup, the Astros have made an acquisition. No trade today, but Jed Lowry is back for the first time in 3 months.
A guy that played only 18 games early on in the season, but played them quite well, hitting 300 and 4 home runs, 3 of those coming from the right side of the plate. As you see right there from Jed Lowry, he'll be at third base. A little bit of a different position for Jed. He's accustomed to being a shortstop, but trying to give the team their best options now to win by playing at third base for the club.
Coming up, Texas barbecue. Jed Lowry's return comes at the perfect time for a lineup that's been spending their summer vacation torching the opposition at Minute Maid Park. Who are the primary grill masters at the Astros home barbecue? You'll see them in action in just minutes. Presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. By Whataburger. If you love sweet and spicy, you'll love Whataburger's brand new sweet and spicy bacon burger, here for a limited time. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Coming up, Kazmania. Scott Kazmir has dominated the AL West this year and reversed his fortunes against the Los Angeles Angels in the process. How big has the turnaround been? Julia explains in just a few minutes.
The Astros going for the sweep. Jed Lowry back in the lineup, being what was the biggest news of the day not too long ago. Now, just minutes before game time, the Astros announcing a trade with the Milwaukee Brewers. The team behind me here, very loose, very excited as they got the news just about 10 minutes before 7 o'clock coming out to stretch. They hear that they are getting a couple of new teammates from the Brewers. Carlos Gomez being the big piece here, along with the right-handed pitcher Mike Fiers. In return, Domingo Santana, the outfielder, also Brett Phillips, a big name in the minor leagues, Adrian Hauser, and Josh Hader, the lefty, coming over in that Bud Norris trade a couple of years ago. That's who the Brewers get. This news, very, very new to us and the team, but like I said, players excited. They think they got better today. A.J. Hinch telling me on both of these guys, he's excited as the team stepped it up a little bit as far as speed and power with Carlos Gomez in there. We see him right there with Milwaukee. As far as a right-handed bat, this team needed one, especially in the outfield. They will be facing a lot of left-handed pitchers down the road. Texas Rangers just now, or a couple of days ago, getting big left-handed pitcher in Cole Hamill, so that will be good to add to the lineup. And also the right-hander, Mike Fiers, bringing him into the starting rotation. He started last night, so not a factor just yet. In a couple of days, A.J. Hinch will have to make a decision there. But remember, this team is watching the innings of the young pitchers like Lance McCullers and Vince Velasquez. So bringing Fiers into the mix may have something to do with all of that. And with more on this, as we all kind of process the news, guys, I send it up to you with A.J. Hinch telling me this team got better with this trade. What do you think?
Well, they certainly acquired in those two players you mentioned, experienced players, Julia. And Gomez has been in the playoffs before. He's a dynamic player. So A.J. Hinch is getting that right-handed bat you talked about. Center fielder who's very accomplished. Not sure who's going to be playing center field because it's hard to do any better than Jake Marisnick has done. But the guy in your picture right there will make those decisions, Ash.
Yeah, I can't help but agree with the Astros got better and they became a very serious contender right now with the acquisition of Carlos Gomez, a guy who the last couple of seasons was good enough to be in the MVP consideration in his league. 16th last year, 9th the year before. But the numbers this year are not matching up to those numbers. But a guy that can play in the outfield very well. So I feel like I'll defer to A.J. Hinch. If he feels they got better, I certainly am in his corner.
Well, Brett Phillips is a dynamic 5-tool player, a center fielder at AA Corpus Christi. So the Brewers got a great one. And Phillips and Domingo Santana has put up nice numbers at AAA. Adrian Hauser, a right-handed pitcher, included in that deal. And Josh Hader, a highly regarded, very young left-handed pitcher. The Brewers stocked up quite well in our farm system.
When you seek talent, you have to give up talent to get them. And when the Astros say they're going out and making a serious bid to win this division this year, they really showed it today.
Scott Kazmir taking the field as an Astro for the first time at Minute Maid Park. His second start with the Astros about to come up, and his family and friends are here watching. Scott pitched for Cy Falls High School in the northwest part of Houston. He was a first-round draft choice of the New York Mets, who traded him to Tampa Bay. He's been with the Angels and Cleveland, and now 6-5 with a 2.24 ERA, second lowest ERA in the American League right now.
You would be thoroughly hard-pressed to make a better impression on a team after a trade than what Scott Kazmir did in that first game that he pitched against Kansas City. Very nice, solid-looking, impressive in the way it looked so easy. I mean, he just made it look like routine. And Scott Kazmir, leading the American League now in ERA as he's gone by Dallas Keuchel, has been extremely good, and the Astros look for more from this lefty.
Here's the starting lineup now for the visiting Angels. They go with left fielder Shane Victorino as their leadoff man tonight. Cole Calhoun's in right field. Mike Trout returns to the lineup. He has missed the first 2 games of this series. He's in center with Albert Pujols at first base. It's Eric Ibar batting 5th at shortstop. The DH is C.J. Cron. The catcher Chris Iannetta bats 7th. Johnny Giovitella is at second base, and Taylor Featherston at third base. And Matt Shoemaker will be the pitcher tonight, a right-hander for the Angels. Jed Lowry at third base. He came up as a third baseman, but he has been primarily a major league shortstop. He's in tight at third. Shane Victorino is a good bunter. In tight at first, Luis Valbuena. So we have a different look on the corner infield spots, and there is strike one to Victorino. Kazmir magnificent in that start number 1 as an Astro, facing a .245 hitter with a homer and 4 runs batted in. And it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Victorino has been troubled by injuries this season while with the Boston Red Sox. And he's one of the 3 outfielders acquired here in the last 2 or 3 days by the Angels. He fouls that pitch back, and it's a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Kazmir said it will be a night when emotions are running high for him. Coming home to pitch for this club. He is 3-5 in his career against the Angels with a 6.42 lifetime ERA in 8 starts. That's foul back. Still a 1-2 count. The Astros a game in front of the Angels. They are even in the loss column. Houston has played 2 more games and won 2 more games. The Astros last night moved into first place alone for the first time since July 11th. Swing and a miss, and Victorino couldn't stay back on the off-speed offering. 1 out.
That's a changeup that we talk about with Scott Kazmir. Game 1 for him as an Astro against Kansas City. The changeup pretty much dominated the night. And there are moments when you feel like, as we take our look with the Super Bowl presented by Mattress Firm, that he shows the changeup, and yet hitters remain way out in front.
Kazmir moves along to face lefty hitting Cole Calhoun next. .272, 13 homers, 56 runs batted in. Calhoun looks at the inside offering, and it's ball 1 to Cole. He's hit .229 against Houston pitching this season. He was 1 for 5 Tuesday night. And last night 0 for 4. Lance McCullers dynamic last night. 7 innings, 1 run allowed. The check swing call goes the Angels' way. Greg Gibson is the third base umpire, and he's all wrapped up after he got hit by that pitch on the left wrist area last night.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he got news that maybe something was chipped, broken in there.
It's quite possible the way it looks. We had not heard a report on him. In the shift, it goes to Altuve. on a one hopper, 2 outs. Valbuena has not played first base in the major leagues. He played it some in the low minors. He has taken a number of ground balls there. And so that's the different look for the Astros.
Let's take a look at that defense for the Astros tonight behind Scott Kazmir. Preston Tucker in left, Jake Marisnick and Colby Rasmus in the outfield. Left side of the infield, Jed Lowry, he's back. Carlos Correa at shortstop. Right side, Jose Altuve and Luis Valbuena. And Jason Castro is behind the plate.
A big part of the Angels offense is back in the lineup. The total base leader in the American League, Mike Trout, also leads in homers with 31. He's been out with a sore left wrist. There is ball 1. Hitting .315. He also leads the American League in runs scored with 75, and it's just a glittering year for Mike Trout.
Said he wasn't coming back till he was 100%, so apparently 100% now.
It's 2-0 to Trout. Trout certainly is looking strong for an MVP award with his play to this point of the season. Kazmir dots it into the strike zone, and it's 2-1 to Trout.
Obviously taking all the way.
Trout got his second All-Star Game MVP award this year. Fouls that one away, and it's 2-2. And he and Albert Pujols, who's on deck right now, are such a 1-2 punch with a total of 61 home runs between the two. They are blazing a trail populated by such luminaries down through the years as Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, teammates like that. It's 3-2.
See that effort to come in with the fastball. Mike Trout loves to inside out the baseball, and he'll hit it out to any big part of the ballpark.
He's hit 4 homers against the Astros this season. Grounds that one foul. Let's take a look at some of those teammates who are the first 2 in the majors to 30 homers. Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig at 27. Then it was Gehrig and Ruth, Maris and Mantle, Mays and McCovey, Luzinski and Schmidt, Rice and Armas, Trout and Pujols this year.
Really no surprises there at all.
And Trout is about to turn 24 in early August. Just a magnificent player who was a first-round pick in 2009. He fouls that one away. Trout through age 23 had an OPS plus of 167 a while back, and that was 4th on the all-time list through age 23, behind only Ted Williams, Ty Cobb, and Stan Musial. He draws a walk. There's a board for Pujols.
He just took strike 3, I believe, if we get a peek at that pitch. But high strike sometimes is not a strike when you've got one of the big game stars at the plate. We take a look at our strike zone presented by MD Anderson. Let's see where it is. Well, my right fist is going up.
Yep. Pujols hit a homer last night, his 30th of the year. Has 64 runs batted in with a .260 batting average for Albert. Second in the American League in homers and 6th in runs batted in. He is 1 for 9 against Kazmir. The infield shifts around on Pujols. Throw going over to first on Trout. Trout with 10 steals in 14 tries is an extremely effective base runner. Not running as often as he did, as you can see. 49 in 2012. That's strike 1 to Pujols, who is tied with Sammy Sosa for 28th on the all-time RBI list. Last night's homer was number 550 in his illustrious career. He's hit 49 against the Astros, more than any other player. He rips it on the ground. Lowry out of his glove. He recovers and gets him. Nice job by Lowry on his first play at third base. No runs, no hits, and a man left. 0-0. It's a different look, of course, with the return of Jed Lowry. It's Jose Altuve at second base, Preston Tucker in left field, Carlos Correa at shortstop, Luis Valbuena moves to first base tonight. Jed Lowry's at third with Colby Rasmus in right field, Chris Carter the DH, Jason Castro at catcher, and Jake Marisnik in center field.
On the mound for the Angels, it is the right-hander Matt Shoemaker in 18 games, 17 as a starter, 5-7 with a 4.5 ERA. Whipped down there in a decent range. Last year had a whale of a season for the Angels' career against the Astros, 1-1 and an 8, almost 9 ERA, 6 homers allowed. So the Astros would love to continue that trend.
He gave up 3 home runs in Anaheim when he lost to the Astros there in May, allowing 6 earned runs in 3 innings. 304 for Jose Altuve, 9 homers, 49 runs batted in, and a 354 average against Angel pitching. Upstairs for ball 1. Altuve has really put things together since the All-Star break in a very fine way. He's now tied for 4th in hits in the American League with 116. Made a spectacular play up the middle last night. That's a fastball for a strike, 1-1. And Altuve now has an 18-game hitting streak at Minute Maid Park. That is a club record. He's hit .426 during his last 18 games here. That's a chopper foul and a broken bat. It's 1-2. And I asked Jose about how he made that throw on that play up the middle. Ground ball hit by C.J. Cron. He could not explain it, Ash.
I'm not surprised at all. If he started explaining that, then I think he might be dreaming and just go ahead and play the game with those instincts. But you watch him as he tries to get to his feet. He's falling over backwards and still makes a decent throw that was dug out nicely by Singleton. That is some kind of play.
Altuve swings at that pitch and stays alive at 1 ball, 2 strikes. Since last season, he leads the parade with 341 hits. Ground ball third. Featherston guns it. 1 out.
Defensively for the Angels tonight, in the outfield and left to right, Shane Victorino, Mike Trout, and Cole Calhoun. Left side of the infielder is Taylor Featherston. Eric Ibar at short. Johnny Giovatelli is on the right side along with Albert Pujols. Chris Iannetta does the catching.
Preston Tucker hit his 10th homer in last night's game Going 1 for 3 with a walk. He looks at ball one. At .262, he has 10 homers, 28 runs batted in. 5 of those homers coming in his last 8 games for Preston. In the air, out to left field. Victorino. 2 down for Shoemaker, who last year was 16-4 with a 3.04 ERA. He was an undrafted free agent in 08. More than 1,500 players were drafted that year. He was not one of them, but then last year finished second in the Rookie of the Year balloting with that 16-4 season.
It's all about the beard these days, isn't it?
Yeah. Carlos Correa with a .298 average has gone deep 9 times. He's driven in 28. That's strike 1 to Carlos. Saw that .364 average against the Angels. And last night they kept him to a 1 for 4 night with a single. Line drive left field. Victorino over to his right. Correa will be held to a single here on a good throw into second. A 2-out hit for Correa.
I think Mike Sosa right about now, if he couldn't vote for Mike Trout, would vote for Carlos Correa for MVP this year. I mean, he has seen a lot from this young man. And this is not an easy pitch. This slider breaking down toward the knees. It's just a really good young hitter.
He's on for Valbuena, the club leader in homers with 19. Valbuena, though, has been in a home run drought. That's ball 1 to Luis, who in this series is 2 for 7. He snapped an 0 for 18, getting 2 hits last night, including a double. 14 of his 19 homers have come off right-handed pitchers, and 3 against Angel pitchers. And Luis was answering questions from the media about moving to first base. He said he played first in the low minor leagues, and he went to Albert Pujols for a little advice last night.
Albert probably said, just swing the bat well, you'll be just fine.
It's 2-0.
Of course, I jest. Albert Pujols has been a much better first baseman through the years than I think a lot of people have given him credit for.
Yeah, he's worked hard at it. Jed Lowry's on deck. The Astros have gone 8-3 since the All-Star break, and they've outscored their opponents in those games 53-33. Valbuena takes it. It's off the plate, and now he's ahead 3-0. Green light here at this point.
Well, the Astros live by the home run a lot, and this is one of those shots where you can take the big swing. Why not?
Shoemaker has been dinged for 17 home runs in 97 innings. In for a strike, and it's 3-1. The Astros have spent a total of 91 days in first place this season. The Angels have been in first for 21 days. And the throw to first after the long pause, as you saw earlier on that graphic. Correa's 5 for 6 in steals. The Astros 9 for 15 in the season series with the Angels. Trout is shading over toward right center field on Valbuena. Off the plate, ball 4. Valbuena patiently working that walk, and now 2 men are on for Lowry.
our TXU Energy power player he's back, Jed Lowry. Early on in the season, played just 18 games, but he played those games very well. Slugged 4 home runs, 3 of them as a right-hand hitter, and it was a big part of that road trip out west early on when they won 8 of 9, leading to a 10-game winning streak, and then got hurt with a dive slide at the plate in San Diego. And it seemed at the time it would be devastating as we just kept watching him rocket all over the yard.
He had a terrific month of April. Now, after missing 3 months, he's back. Lowry with strike one, returning now as a third baseman after being the shortstop, then being down with that broken ligament in his finger, and that had to be repaired. He had 5 rehab games at AA Corpus Christi at third base to get ready to return to action. Lowry to left field. Victorino over to end it in the Astros first with no runs a hit, 2 men stranded, no score after 1.
Quote of the day, it's from Jeff Luna, the GM, talking about the risk and reward of potential trades. He says, what keeps me up at night is that we have a very strong farm system with a lot of players that could have an impact here in the next 2 to 3 years. And yet, those are the players that clubs want for pieces that can help us this year. Guys, toss it up to you with a special guest.
To get something, you have to give up something. Jeff Luno knows all about that. Are you going to be able to get some sleep now at last?
Well, probably not. The trade deadline isn't until tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern, so we'll keep working, but we're really excited about today's developments for the Astros.
Eric Ibar leads it off in a 0-0 game. Well, from a lot of the stories, it was tougher to acquire one of those bats this year than a top pitcher. Is that the way it played out?
It was, something that we were working on for a couple weeks, but Carlos Gomez is such a special player. He really has all the potential in the world. He's 29 years old. He's in his prime. He's been a 20-20 type of player. He can steal bases, hit home runs.
Lowry unable to prevent the bunt hit from Ibar. Is a very good bunter. And so he is one of those dynamic guys. He's been in the playoffs before. Those are the numbers. An experienced hand out there in the outfield, Jeff.
Great defensively. He's just totally tooled up, as they say in the scouting world, and he's performed to match those tools. So this is a guy that fits in really well with this club where we are right now, and I hope he helps us get to the postseason and perform, because that's why we got him.
Some of the numbers down. In fact, most of the numbers down this year. Any reasoning as to why that might be the case?
He was banged up a little bit this year and got off to a slow start, but we've been scouting him, we've been monitoring him, and he's healthy and he's ready to go and excited to be a part of the Astros. And he's still very much in his prime. The tools all still work, and I think he's going to do really well in this ballpark.
Logically, where does he slot in this outfield?
Well, that's a question that we're going to have to. I mean, he's a center fielder. He's been a center fielder. He's a plus defensive center fielder. We've got a plus defensive center fielder in Jake Marisnick, and really, honestly, also in George Springer when he comes back. And I think AJ doesn't complain when we give him plus defenders that he can play anywhere. All these guys can do their work offensively too. So we'll have to have that conversation. But I would imagine that he's going to be playing a lot of center field, but he might have to go to the corners a little bit here and there. And that's everybody's had to do that now and again in their career. That's probably the best way you can help the team.
And George is looking more relaxed than normal down there right now, but he wants to be out there in the worst way, and hopefully he'll be that impact player we saw when he was healthy earlier this year. But meanwhile, there is the month of August ahead, and so you're covering that with this deal, and perhaps Mike Fiers also a part of this mix for that reason, Jeff.
No question. Mike Fiers is a starting pitcher who really has shown his ability to get guys out. He's got a curveball that's a swing and miss pitch. He strikes out more than one per inning. He can win ball games. He doesn't walk a lot of guys, and I think he's going to be a big part of eating up some innings for us, quality innings, between now and the end of the year. And he's a young guy who's under control for 4 more years. So we're excited to have him as part of this package as well.
And of course, Kazmir, one of the big additions you have made within the last couple of weeks, already has pitched one tremendous game. So you have acquired that experience factor in all 3 of these players.
We have, and it's important as we come down the stretch here. A lot of our guys, this will be the first time they've been in a playoff hunt, and to surround them with guys. I mean, we have guys in the clubhouse like Jed Lowry and Chad Qualls and Pat Neshek that have been to the World Series before and know what that's all about. But for a lot of guys, it's going to be a first journey, and it's good to have some of those veterans around. And I think adding Scott Kazmir and Carlos Gomez and Mike Fiers definitely helps congeal the group.
Can you give us a little insight as to how difficult this might be to throw a deal like this together?
Well, I have been working on this deal for probably about 3 weeks now. We contacted Milwaukee a while ago and expressed our interest in both of these players, and we've been going back and forth. And last night we thought the deal was done with the Mets, so we were moving on to something else. And
a fly ball out to left field, and there is the catch by Tucker.
Woke up this morning and got back on the phone, and we're able to work hard all day and finally get it over the finish line right before Gomez was due to take the field for the Milwaukee Brewers. So,
and all kinds of reports fly around there. The Twitter sphere is going crazy, and there was some blame attached to Twitter, perhaps prematurely reporting that Mets deal last night. Then it broke down, according to those reports. I'm sure you don't want to comment on that, but nonetheless, it speaks to the day and age in which general managers have to function and what they have to deal with.
It is true, and especially when players find out about things either before they happen or before they're announced, it makes things very difficult. But we've done a nice job of keeping things under wraps until they absolutely need to be known. And I think for the most part, every organization tries to do that. Just occasionally stuff gets out, and in today's world, like you said, it gets around pretty quickly, and players find out about it. But I'm excited for these 2 additions. These two players are definitely going to help us.
Chris Ionetta, the batter. And there's a snap throw to first by Castro. There have been reports that the Astros and Phillies had a deal, and that was nixed by Cole Hamels. And then you move on to David Price and make a bet. So it's been rather frenetic for you guys.
It has been a busy trade season, and that's what happens when your team is near first place and you've got a lot of prospects and you've got an opportunity to go for it. We're taking advantage of that. We're definitely talking to a lot of different clubs about different permutations of their players or their top players, etc. And it's been a good learning experience. It's been a good experience, but I think the result is really what we care about, and so far so good.
Jeff, you talk about top players in systems. The Astros obviously had to turn to some of those players to get this deal done. Your thoughts, the wrangling that went on in your own mind to be able to make those moves.
It's difficult to give up a player like Brett Phillips, for example, and Domingo Santana and Josh Hader, the guys that we think have major league potential, and they're not too far away. But the reality is that's the cost of doing business. If you want to acquire major league talent that can help you right now, you got to give up some guys that might hurt you down the road, and we know that. We try and minimize it, but it's the cost of doing business. So Brett Phillips is going to be a center fielder, and he's going to be a good one. And Domingo Santana is ready now, and he might be in the Brewers lineup next week for all we know. But these guys are players that we feel we can do without for the time being because we got others, and we also have a need right now to win ball games.
Iannetta puts it in the air to right field. Colby Rasmus back. You also pointed out Gomez is under contract, I believe, through next year, Jeff.
Correct.
You pointed out Fiers under control. This is far from a rental player type trade.
Really, I mean, Gomez is going to be with us the rest of this year, hopefully through the playoffs, all of next year, hopefully through the playoffs next year. And then, you know, he has a chance to become a free agent. If we lose him, we get a draft pick back. If we decide to keep him, we've got, you know, hopefully he'll love it here and want to stay. And Mike Fiers hasn't even reached arbitration yet. He's got another year before he reaches arbitration. So, you know, this is a young pitcher who's in the his prime, who's going to be around for a long time if he's doing well and we want to keep him, which hopefully both of those things will happen.
Gomez has been a very flamboyant player, demonstrative. And the Astros typically do not have players who do the things that he does on the field. But he's been around long enough now that I believe he's pretty well accepted by the Major League fraternity. Nonetheless, you have to weigh bringing a different personality into that clubhouse, and that was probably something you had to check out quite a bit.
We did, and you know, he's a very excitable young man, and I think he will fit in very well with George Springer and Carlos Correa and a lot of the players that we have that just bring a lot of energy, not only on the field but off the field.
Colby Rasmus with the catch. Jeff, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Nothing to go.
Include a Vizio Hall of Fame bobblehead, a replica pinstripe jersey, and a replica Hall of Fame plaque, each to 10,000 fans. For more information, visit Astros.com or call 1-877-9-ASTROS. You can do it today.
Big weekend coming up. Arizona comes in, and the D-backs have been playing good baseball. Colby Rasmus leads it off. We're in the bottom of the second inning now in a 0-0 game. And there's ball one from Shoemaker to Rasmus, a .236 hitter with 13 homers, 36 runs batted in. Colby's brother Corey is a pitcher in the Angels system who's been in AAA, but rumors are he's about to rejoin them. So perhaps they'll get a reunion. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Astros are 7-5 against the Angels this season. 4-1 here at Minute Maid Park. 1 series to go here after tonight between these two. Foul ball makes it 1-2. The last 5 games, Shoemaker's ERA is 2.59. He went to Eastern Michigan University. born in Wyandotte, Michigan. In the air, and here comes the shortstop Ivar for it. Calling off the third baseman Featherston. 1 out. Chris Carter hit a home run Tuesday night playing first base. Last night, John Singleton hit a homer playing first base. And tonight, Luis Valbuena is playing first base. Carter DHing with 17 homers, 45 runs batted in, and a 185 average. 3 for 6 with a couple of bombs off Shoemaker. Check swing roller to third will go foul. Featherston came in, and then he saw that the ball was going to take a little left turn. Strike one on Carter.
Gary Pettis is kicking it into fair territory. Let's see if this necessitates a review.
Well, it's been an exciting ride with all these trades in Major League Baseball, Ash.
It really is that way right now, and there could be more to come.
Rangers getting Cole Hamels. Have you seen when he's going to pitch for them?
Have not seen his initial start for the Texas Rangers. That is really an intriguing deal, and it says the Rangers are looking to the future.
No balls, 2 strikes. They gave up a boatload of minor league talent.
How about that David Price and Tulowitzki pair of players going to Toronto?
And Cueto and Zobrist to Kansas City.
You should see the grouping of outfielders that the Angels have picked up. Really, left fielders for the Angels. They apparently felt they were fairly weak in that area.
Oh, yeah. That's a strikeout, number 1 of the night for Shoemaker. Yeah, they made sure they addressed it. 19 hours and 12 minutes to go to the trade deadline at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Jason Castro, a .215 hitter with 7 homers, has 19 runs batted in. He is 2 for 4 with an RBI in his career against Shoemaker. Shoemaker starting for the 3rd time against the Astros. He's won 1 and lost 1. Statistically, his split-fingered fastball has been his most effective pitch. There's strike 1. Astros hitters have really done a number in this series. They won 10-5 Tuesday night, banging out 14 hits. 6-3 last night with 11 more hits. That looked like the split finger there, and it's 1-1. As a result, the Astros are 3rd in runs scored in the American League. Their 35-17 home record is the best winning percentage in the AL. Fly ball to right. Calhoun moving in. And it's a routine inning for Shoemaker, and no score after 2.
family in town for his home debut here at Minute Maid Park as a Houston Astro. He said all his friends would have to fend for himself, giving tickets to about 15 to 20 family members. But pitching against a division rival tonight, the Angels. This is when the Astros need him the most against teams like this. And we look back, it's our pitching performance powered by Kubota. The numbers against the Angels for Scott Kazmir in the last 2 years. Well, 3 years, 13 and 14, just going 7 1/3 and 3 starts. Just he's struggling there, not able to get the Angels out. But then in his last start this year on June 21st, 2015, much better, having much more success. 7 1/3 there, just 6 hits, 1 earned run. Hopefully more success tonight, guys.
Off to a good start, 0-0. Here's the third inning. Taylor Featherston fouls that one. There's strike one. 143 for Featherston, 1 homer, 5 runs batted in. Connor Gillespie, a left-handed hitter, has been the third baseman the first 2 games in this series, filling in for the injured David Freese. And now against the lefty Kazmir, a graduate of Katy Taylor High School. And that school has cranked out a lot of fantastic athletes. Gets his shot. No balls, 2 strikes to Featherston. Featherston, born right here in Houston. He's drafted by Colorado in 2011 in the 5th round. This is his first major league season. The Angels got him in a trade in December.
Had a big game-winning hit against the Astros on that most recent trip into Anaheim.
Yeah, that was in the 10th inning back on June 24th. That'd be a huge moment for him. This time he strikes out. Kazmir coming inside on him at 94.
That's what Kazmir did in the first start with the Astros in Kansas City. Ran it up to 94 a number of times and looked like some movement on that as well as it ran in. 2 seamers. So yeah, likely getting some run.
Kazmir's career was on the rocks a few years ago. And he has really rebuilt everything. Shane Victorino looks at an off-speed pitch. There's strike one. He led off the game with a strikeout. Ron Wohlforth has helped him. So has Brent Strom. Working at the Texas Baseball Ranch north of Houston. 1 ball, 1 strike. Left field has been a problem. 213 with 5 homers, 28 runs batted in for the Angels left fielders, and a low .311 slugging percentage. Victorino, one of those brought in to address that. David Murphy, another. Perhaps David DeJesus will play some left field. Line shot to left. Tucker with the catch. That was drilled for out number 2.
Challenging game when you can hit it this sharply for an out. Kaz tries to come in and leaves it through the heart of the plate. So you know what? That's not a bad sign either, though. If you're getting outs on that pitch, sometimes hitters start to look for too much against guys that are successful.
Cole Calhoun hit a 2-0 pitch on the ground to Altuve. In the dirt. Kazmir, we mentioned, was a first-round pick of the Mets. That was in 2002. Then he was traded to Tampa Bay in 2004 for Victor Zambrano. What a deal that was for the Rays. He had terrific years for them. Pitch is inside. That makes it a 2-ball, no-strike count. Then he joined the Angels in a trade in 2009. Suffered through a rough year for them in 2010. Was released in 2011 and made his way back with the independent Sugarland Skeeters in 2012 before joining Cleveland. That's hook foul. 2 balls and a strike. We talked about the work he had done at the baseball ranch, and Brent Strom was with the St. Louis Cardinals in the minor leagues, and he had a chance to work with Scott Kazmir at that time. Kazmir was released by the Angels June 15th, 2011, after allowing 27 runs in 17 major and minor league innings that year. He made it a long way back. He had video of a high school game or 2 at Cypress Falls, and that was examined very carefully to try to get back to that form and recreate what he had been. Foul back, and it's 2-2.
Got a nice, easy delivery. Repeats it very well. That changeup has just become a dominant pitch. And I don't know how much he uses it versus the left-hand hitters. Maybe turns to the slider a bit more.
He certainly used it in that start at Kansas City.
Did he ever?
As you and Blummer and Julia witnessed. Roll to first. Valbuena with the toss to Kazmir. And in the third, it goes well. It's no score after 2.5.
Is a dedicated section for fans to show their support for Dallas Keuchel every time he takes them out. Starting at only $35, you get a ticket, a beard, and a Keuchel's Corner Go Beard or Go Home t-shirt for this Saturday's game versus the Diamondbacks. For more information, visit astros.com/Keuchel's Corner or call 1-877-9-ASTROS. There's your shirt. Gotta get one.
Did you get one yet?
Oh, I have one. I have a beard, too. It's a good look.
Okay.
I don't even know how to respond to that. Good luck with that situation, Julia.
What do you say to a bearded lady? Jake Maristic comes up, no score, bottom of the third inning. 238, 5 homers, 21 runs batted in, and 286 against the Angels. He's had a couple of good games in this series. Jake had a couple of hits last night, and a hit and a walk, 2 runs scored Tuesday night. There's strike one. Inside, and it's 1-1. Resnick has been a fabulous center fielder this year for the Astros, as witnessed by many. He said Torrey Hunter was the center fielder he grew up emulating. It's 1-2.
I think Torrey would be rather proud to hear that.
Yeah. He's had a chance to meet him. Did you have a favorite center fielder?
Favorite center fielder growing up? I mean, those were the Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays days.
Right.
And so, yeah, there was a lot of that going around.
Strikeout looking, number 2.
Our AT&T Rewind looks back at Jose Altuve and his home dominance, hitting .370 in his last 100 home at bats. That dates back to May 19th. 18-game hitting streak here at the park, and he drives the baseball. Jose Altuve. I continue to hear people think, well, he's just a little ping hitter, but it's really not. And he is a big, big part of what the Astros do offensively.
Altuve grounded out first time up. That's strike one to him. Now remember back in the late 50s, Ash, before the Dodgers and Giants moved, 3 center fielders who were in New York. Fabulous era. Ooh, he got drilled by that one. Altuve hit by the pitch from Shoemaker. That's his 3rd hit batsman of the year. Altuve is hit for the 5th time.
One of those center fielders, Duke Snider, who wound up in L.A. and I got a chance to go out and see a few games out at the old Coliseum. Duke was a part of things.
Left thigh is where he got hit.
You get that 2-seam fastball. Once it makes up its mind to start running in that direction, it just keeps coming.
For those who are keeping tabs on it, the Astros have been drilled 33 times this year. Their opponents 26. Preston Tucker hit a fly ball to left field. Altuve leads in steals. He has 28. He's been caught 9 times. Tucker bounces one off Shoemaker, on through into center field. Altuve will stop at second base. Sharp single for Tucker. First hit for Houston since the Correa single in the 1st inning, and now the Astros have 2 men on in an inning for the 2nd time tonight.
I think one logical question with the Astros making the big deal for Gomez today is what happens with Preston Tucker? What's his role now as you move forward? Because young man has really played well. Carlos Correa is a guy that garners a lot of attention for a lot of good reasons here in the series. Launching one first at bat the other night, other way, his 9th of the year. And he wound up with 3 hits on that night. He had the flares working a little bit. But he is such a good hitter that knows how to go the other way. And as long as he employs that with the pop he has, watch out, League.
He singled to left field in the 1st inning. One out and 2 on for the Astros here against Shoemaker. It's a strike. Vitello ran to second on that pitch. How about those middle infielders, Ash?
They could be together a long time, too. Altuve since the 1st of June, hitting .410 at home. Best in the major leagues. Great July. Correa tearing it up as well. And against the Angels, Correa must be that huge thorn that gets in the side.
He swings at that one, falls behind 0-2 in the count. A.J. Hinch was asked about Correa. Of course, we've seen a lot more national media the last few weeks following the Astros now. There's the split finger.
You see, it just takes off the rotation. Ball starts to fall to earth.
Carlos has a very elaborate pregame preparation. Astros hitting very well with runners in scoring position against the Angels. .311 overall, .252. They're in the middle of the pack, hitting with runners in scoring position in the majors. But it's improved quite a bit, especially since the All-Star break. So A.J. Hinch was asked about Carlos, and he said he's not just doing this on his talent alone. He is working very hard to get better. You don't see him around the clubhouse very much. He's off doing other things with the media not allowed in certain areas. Upstairs, 1-2.
There have been a lot of really great players, obviously, that have come to the major leagues, and you knew right away they were going to be really good. Carlos Correa is in that conversation.
In the dirt. Good block there by Iannetta. And in fact, A.J. Hinch said what we're trying to do is supply Carlos with the proper information to help him advance in his career. For instance, when is the pitcher likely to be pitching around you?
Just about any time they have an option might be my answer.
Well, there's a base open right now, third. Valbuena's on deck. Struck him out. Strikeout number 3 for Shoemaker.
I think he totally got fooled on this pitch. I think that fastball's by him by the time he's trying to get the bat through. And you can see the 4-seamer, and it ran pretty well. Carlos was, it appears, trying to go the other way and maybe looking off speed.
Valbuena drew a walk in the first inning. Shoemaker now has walked 25. This is his 100th inning. That's a low walk rate for the right-hander. Pulled, and there's the play by the first sacker. And Pujols takes it for out number 3. No runs a hit, 2 men stranded. The Astros have left 4. And after 3, there's no score.
Jack in the Box takes us inside the box score. We look at Mike Trout. Last year, everybody said, well, he doesn't hit the high pitch well. And you can see on that 2014 season, the upper area where he was quite cool and downright cold at times. This year, big improvements made there. And keep in mind, last year he was the MVP of the league. So what's he going to do this year? Already leading in home runs, and he's one of the game's best.
Trout takes the first pitch. It's strike 1 from Kazmir. He walked on a 3-2 offering back in the first inning. For the last 3 American League MVP votes have found Trout finishing second, and first. Little roller out to Altuve's left. 1 out.
Watch Mike Trout go down the line, and you have to instantly think Mickey Mantle or football, and how would you like to try to tackle this guy? I wonder what J.J. Watt would think about that.
Well, we understand he was out here today, and Mr. Trout, I think we heard pitch to him in the batting cage, right?
I think J.J. was taking him yard too.
Albert Pujols is 0 for 1. He grounded out. There's strike 1. Fly ball to right field. Rasmus backing right in front of the wall. 2 outs. Let's see what happened out here earlier this afternoon.
I want this guy. I don't know what it's going to take in a deal to get him, but you can see he's just naturally strong and athletic. Isn't that fun to watch a guy from another sport want to come out and give this a try and have of those moments where maybe J.J. Watt thinks, I could do this. I could do it.
He made a loud noise, and then he picked up his own baseballs. Well, those are two icons of their two sports.
See the T-shirt, Hunt Greatness, on J.J. Watt. I'd say that sums up his style.
Strike to Ibar, who bunted on Jed Lowry in the second inning for a single. Lowry plays in tight, and you can probably look for more of that since Jed has just moved to that position.
1-1. Another peek at that T-shirt with Correa this time, but Hunt Greatness, that's, I think Carlos Correa could certainly wear that. That's fun when you get top athletes in different sports getting together.
Well, they're both hunting. It's 2 balls and a strike.
They have bagged a few already, I think.
It has not escaped them so far. Ibar is now 8 for 12 lifetime against Kazmir. That one doesn't go very far, and it's 2-2. Very interesting series here, matching the top 2 teams in the AL West. Now they will part company. The Angels, after tonight, will head to Los Angeles and play the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium next, while the Astros stay here to play another NL West foe, the Arizona Diamondbacks. And Paul Goldschmidt, probably the best player in the National League right now. 3-2.
Statistically, he's tearing it up.
Yeah. Magnificent year for Goldschmidt. He's from this area and went to Texas State. These two teams will not meet again until September 11th in Anaheim. Rolled out to shortstop. Correa with the throw to make it a 1-2-3-4. That's 9 straight retired by Kazmir in a scoreless game.
Such as the all-you-can-eat seats at Minute Maid Park. This incredible deal offers endless savings and scores you a ticket and unlimited ballpark favorites starting at only $35. For more information, visit astros.com/value or call 1-877-9-ASTROS. Jed Lowry leads off this half inning here for the Astros and excited to be back with the guys. It's been a long time. He said the time that I was out with this injury was like an entire offseason. So really important to get those rehab games in. Felt really good from both sides of the plate, really. As far as fielding, he didn't have a ball hit his way until maybe the 3rd rehab game. But once that happened, felt good. Third base is where he came up in the big league. So comfortable there, but angle a little bit different for him is what he mentioned, but still feels good and confident over there at third base, guys.
And now as he leads it off in the home 4th inning, he has hit a fly ball to left his first time up, taking ball 1 here. Just looking at the way, Julia, that he has put the lineup together, he being A.J. Hinch, is interesting tonight. Kind of alternating left and right-handed batters, and also sprinkling in contact hitters in between the power guys. There's a drive to center field, and Trout makes the play. One down. So Lowry batting fifth would be one of those contact hitters. And now it's Rasmus following him. Rasmus popped a short in the second inning. The infield overshifts on him again. A.J. Hinch has done an absolutely masterful job of constructing lineups this year. When you consider that he has two everyday players. Right now with George Springer, there's strike one. Lowry, of course, was one before he got hurt. But Altuve and Correa are his two mainstays in the lineup. Everybody else changes. 1 ball, 1 strike. He's starting to get a lot of mentions for Manager of the Year. Bob Nightingale of USA Today had an excellent story on the Astros today. Talked about AJ's influence on the club. Fly ball outside the right field line, and Pat Neshek had some really good quotes about AJ. How good a job he's done at putting this group together and forging it into a winning team with a 57-45 record. Pat Neshek in the bullpen there. In tight, 2-2, and I think on a particular challenging basis for AJ is to analyze the opponent's starting pitcher, his hitter's strengths, who's been playing recently. All these things come into the mix. It's just a myriad of decisions that he has to make every single day. He's not complaining about it.
Who's hot, who's not, what ballpark are you playing in?
Sure.
A lot of trends factor in. And does your pitcher need, the pitcher that's going to the mound that night, need the best defensive option, or is it the offense you need? A lot goes into it.
Excellent thought. Fouled away. And defensive coverage. Rasmus in particular, Ash, and you can speak to this, but AJ was talking about the weekend in Kansas City and moving Rasmus in closer, playing a shallow right field. He said that helped us win a couple of those, or win one of those games that we won. And that's out into right center field for a hit. Might be a broken bat, but Rasmus has a single.
Yeah, I agree, and I thought Colby was very effective. Also, you saw Jake Marisnick play all 3 games in that series. It's a huge ballpark, gap to gap in particular, and Jake's the guy that roams it the best. And so, yeah, you're always looking at what's going on for tonight's game.
AJ had been asked about the infield shifts. He said, well, pretty much every team does that, but what we've tweaked a little bit more this year is the outfield shifting. And we've seen Colby Rasmus really cheating in toward the right field line and very shallow more and more in recent games.
He's a guy who's been a center fielder most of his career and liked to play shallow. So he brings it on more shallow, I think, than anybody else feels comfortable with.
Throw to first base, drives back Rasmus. And you're right about that range factor, allowing a manager to do that with positioning. Colby has the kind of speed and range to get back on a ball over his head. Some right fielders don't. Carter struck out in the second. It's down and in, ball 1. And when Jeff Luhnow was talking about this most recent trade tonight with Milwaukee for Carlos Gomez, Mike Fiers, and talking about Gomez and what a good defensive player he is, it really allowed us to think a little bit in terms of trying to gain some insight into making a deal at the end of July that is going to make a difference for the next 2 months. Because the deadline's tomorrow. Not that trades cannot happen after tomorrow. They will. But nonetheless, with George Springer having been out for weeks and hopefully due to return in August, but from a broken bone, that's somewhat uncertain. He's covered that a little bit with this trade for Gomez now. Rasmus draws a throw. Right side of the infield is wide open for Chris Carter.
You know, during his hot streak last year, that second half of the season, he utilized that side a number of times.
True. Oh, he was sizzling about this time last year. He was on an absolute rampage. July and August, and in September he slowed down some.
Did you see your countdown there, Brownie?
Yep, it's still ticking. It's a ticking time bomb, Ash.
And again, more's going to happen. I'm not necessarily predicting for the Astros, but I think the guys are out there in full force trying to figure out what more they can do for their teams.
That San Diego club is expected to do something. 3-0. Sitting on the likes of Justin Upton and Greg Kimbrell and Tyson Ross, players like those. It would not be at all surprising to see A.J. Preller swing into action. It's 3-1 to Chris Carter. Been pretty active though the last few days. And now a lot of people feel that the Toronto Blue Jays are very well positioned to make the playoffs for the first time since 1993.
They have brought on some huge star power.
Carter fouls it back. It's a full count to Chris. Oh, Tulowitzki, one of the star players in the game. And now David Price, one of the star pitchers in the game. We're going to have to rack our brains, Ash, for the last time a team acquired a superstar hitter and a superstar pitcher within just a day or two of each other.
Yeah. And traded away what had been a superstar at shortstop in that deal with the Rockies.
True. Jose Reyes. 3-2 count, so there's a possibility Rasmus could be running, but that has to be weighed against the chance of a strikeout as well.
All that, by the way, for the Blue Jays as they stand at 500.
Rasmus is going. That pitch hit Carter. No, it's foul ball. Jason Castro's on deck. The Astros have scored 54 runs in a dozen games against the Angels. And they have pitched really well against that Angel lineup this season and going 7-5. Rasmus takes off, swing and a miss, and no throw. And he's going to be, is he called for interfering with the catcher? Let's see what the home plate umpire, Clint Fagan, is demonstrating. Yeah, he's going to send him back to first base. Now, wait a minute now. The third base umpire, Greg Gibson, the crew chief, is coming in. Mike Scioscia wants an out, I believe, on Rasmus. Let's see what the argument might be.
I don't know, and I need to see this again on Chris Carter. Was there any intent here with the bat? Clearly Carter didn't leave the box. He didn't cross home plate with his body.
Scioscia's pressing the argument.
Scioscia wants a double play.
Yeah. He wants the batter called for interfering. And then the runner Rasmus would be out. And they're saying that he's back at first base, so he doesn't get his wish, and it's 2 outs.
Take a look at that swing by Carter. So he goes through, and then unintentional with that follow through, hits the catcher and hits him pretty good too. Nothing intentional there whatsoever.
You know what I think happened?
What's that?
Isn't it usually the case that the catcher actually has to throw the ball to get that call? He didn't throw it.
That was always said. I know when I was catching that they'd always say, go ahead with the throw, and then we'll make the call. On the interference, But I'm trying to recall if there's an intentional versus unintentional aspect to that play.
Oh, I think you're right. But if, you don't know, Iannetta might have been able to throw him out had he gone through with that. And he didn't. So you don't know what would have happened, right?
Fair point.
That time called. And Socha then, when he was informed of the umpire's decision, was not argumentative.
Now I wonder if the very comment from the umpires to Mike Socha was, if he goes through with the throw, we may get that call the way you want it.
I think it might have been. And Mike, the longtime catcher, of course, knows that rule. It's 2-0. Was that called very much when you were catching and a guy would come around and hit you with the bat?
No, in fact, I don't remember that ever happening to me. It may have, but and I was just thinking that I wonder if it ever happened to Mike. For some guys, you just never have the play happen. Other guys might have it happen 5+ times.
True. 2 balls and a strike to Castro. Hank Conger was out for an early workout today in the batting cage with A.J. Hinch, the former Major League catcher, working with Hank on throws to second base. Conger has started the first couple of games in this series. Now the Astros will be facing right-handed pitching again the next 2 nights after this game tonight, before a lefty Robbie Ray goes Sunday for Arizona. In the air, and there's Trout in center field, moving to his left for it to end the frame. No runs, a hit, and the man left. No score after 4. Right now, on July 30th, the Astros 1 game in front of the Angels, even with the loss column there, and the Angels thereby, they are 1 game in arrears, but that means they're leading the wild card race by 3 over Minnesota, and then Baltimore trails for the second wild card spot by 1, Toronto by 2, Tampa Bay 2.5, and the White Sox, who have been making up all kinds of ground with their 5-game winning streak, only 3.5 out now. So now the Shark probably will not be moving to different waters. Jeff Samardzija probably stays with the White Sox as a result of their getting back in that wild card race, correct?
I would certainly think so. A team that has had a miserable offense much of the season.
C.J. Cron takes, and there's ball 1 from Scott Kazmir in a scoreless game. 1 hit for the Angels, 3 for the Astros. The Astros have stranded 5. The Angels have left a couple. It's 1-1. 9 straight have been retired by Kazmir since the Angels only hit a bunt single by Ibar, leading off the second. We're looking at that ruling, Rule 606 on batter interference. It's 606C, and this describes what happened a few minutes ago. If a batter strikes at a ball and misses and swings so hard he carries the bat all the way around, and in the umpire's judgment unintentionally hits the catcher, That's in the air to Valbuena at first. 1 out. Or the ball in back of him on the backswing. It shall be called a strike only, not interference. The ball will be dead, however, and no runner shall advance on the play.
So obviously intent plays in.
Right. Now, if a batter leans out of the batter's box and into the home plate area, and the catcher runs into him as he throws to second base, that's a different story if it's ruled to be intentional. Then the runner on base also would be ruled out. 1-0 to Iannetta, who hit a fly ball to right. And he takes ball 2 from Scott Kazmir. In the zone, it's 2-1 for Scott. Scott Feldman and Ruby De La Rosa are the pitchers tomorrow night at 7:10 when the Astros meet the Arizona Diamondbacks in the first of 3. Pre-game show at 6:30. 2 balls, 2 strikes on the off-speed pitch by Kazmir.
We were looking at that off-speed pitch over and over. First outing for Kazmir with the Astros, and it was changeup grip one time after another. And sometimes it sails across as if it was some kind of a breaking ball.
Yeah. Ooh. Close one called ball 3, and the fans behind home plate unhappy with Clint Fagan.
Well, Mike Trout should have gotten punched out earlier in the ball game. That one is just off the plate.
Iannetta's walked 34 times and make it 35. Second walk of the night for Kazmir.
Again, when you talk Scott Kazmir, you're talking a lot of changeup. Almost 27% of the time. That in his start with the Astros, just under 20% with the Oakland A's. I think sometimes pitches can get misread as well. And you get in streaks, and Kazmir got in that really good streak against Kansas City with the changeup.
Giovitella hit a fly ball to right in the second inning. There's ball 1. It's been quite a month of July for Kazmir. 2-0 with a 0.34 ERA in 4 starts. Leads all American League pitchers in ERA in July, and in opponent's batting average, 138. Foul back, and it's 1-1. Sonny Gray currently is the ERA leader in the American League. Oakland's right-hander at 2.16. Kazmir's second at 2.24. Dallas Keuchel third at 2.32. Keuchel's due to pitch here Saturday night at 6:10 against Jeremy Hellickson of Arizona. Sunday it's Colin McHugh and Robbie Ray. That's the end of the homestand. The Astros then go on a 3-city road trip, beginning in Arlington, Texas. And maybe Cole Hamels is there. In for a strike. It's 1-2.
Yeah, I made some comments about Kazmir leading the league in ERA. Hadn't noticed that Sonny Gray had thrown another great one.
Well, he's the mainstay now in that rotation, right? As Oakland retools.
Just a youngster, and he's been so good. Well, he's 25, but youngster in terms of time there in the big leagues.
It's 2-2 to Giovitella. Howie Kendrick was the second baseman for years for the Angels, but he departed, and he's now a Dodger. Phillies lead Atlanta 4-1 in Philadelphia. They're in the top of the 8th. Good to see our old friend Charlie Kerfeld in town last night. He's gone, isn't he?
I believe so. I think he saw what he needed to see. And
well, there were reports that the Phillies and Astros had agreed upon players for a trade, and Cole Hamels refused to approve the deal, which would have amounted to waiving his no-trade clause to come to Houston. And some of those have been denied. So we're not sure what the real story was. Up the middle, deflected. Altuve back to his left. Quick flip to Correa. That is some magic for out number 2. I thought he would go to first base, but he got the lead runner with that backhanded flip. It had to be quick, Ash.
He's becoming a wizard out there. And he gets little credit, I think, outside of Houston for the defense he plays at second base. Watch how quickly he gets rid of this ball. That is stellar.
That's behind the back stuff, isn't it?
Yeah,
he didn't even look.
Yeah,
well, he did.
I really think most second basemen would have gotten the sure out at first base, but instead saved Scott Kazmir of a shot here of having a man in scoring position.
Sleight of hand there. He did look, but well, he had that predetermined. It had to be quick.
Are you sure?
Not really. Featherston the batter. There's ball one. I was asking him around the cage today on that beautiful play he turned on Crone last night, diving up the middle. Did you really think you had him? He said, well, not really. Since I was out in shallow center field.
Not until I got back to the bench. I watched him make a play during batting practice today. Guys were taking some ground balls at second base, and they were all kind of hanging around having a good time. Jose went to his knees, 2 knees, and caught this ground ball right there with both knees on the ground, and wound up throwing almost in the very same time he would have had he been on his feet. He popped to his feet from his knees and threw, and the guys were just cracking up around him. But it was one of those moves that left you thinking, how does he pull these stunts off?
Is Kreskin involved in this?
I saw him earlier, but I thought he was here for the deals.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
Got an envelope stuck to his forehead at the time.
About 99.2% of our audience has no idea who we're talking about.
Yeah. He was dazzling at the time.
Swing and a foul tip strikeout, and Kazmir works a scoreless 5th. No score after 4.5. Sports is presented by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Jack in the Box. For a limited time, try the new Portobello Mushroom Buttery Jack with melted garlic herb butter. On a Thursday night at Minute Maid Park, have to have a little refreshment along the way. Some cotton candy goes down well about this time of night. It's a scoreless game, with Jake Marisnick leading it off in the home 5th inning. He struck out looking in the 3rd. We're Brad Ausmus and his Detroit Tigers are leading at Baltimore. It's 9-4 in the bottom of the 7th inning.
What's left of his Detroit Tigers?
Oh boy. Fly ball left field near the line. Victorino coming over, and he disappears from view into foul territory. Strike one. Risnick this series, Ash.
Well, he's been a part of things. He's actually had the offense come to life. The hustle is always there for Jake. George Springer is providing the replay. Of course, George had Jake as the player of the game last night, right?
He did. He said, I pick him every night. 1 ball, 1 strike. Good choice, though. Foul back, and it's a 1 ball, 2 strike count. Well, Angels pitching coach Mike Butcher is watching Shoemaker. Very effective tonight on an Angels club with an ERA on the road of 4.32. Shoemaker's road ERA was 5.06 coming into this game. It's 2-2. Faring much better than the starters for the Angels the last 2 nights. C.J. Wilson Tuesday night giving up 6 earned runs in 4 innings. Garrett Richards last night 4 earned runs in 6 1/3. Fly ball to shallow right field. Calhoun moving in. 1 down. Altuve bats next. He's grounded out and he's been hit by a pitch. The Astros have won 11 of their last 12 at home. In their last 8 series at home, they've won 7 of them and split the other one. Crowds have been growing. Nice crowd last night, 31,272. This weekend should afford fans a wonderful opportunity to come out, see a first place club against an Arizona club which is a couple of games under 500 but playing much better lately, and with the good giveaway items this weekend in the first 10,000. Strike to Altuve. It's 1-1. Longest home hitting streak by an Astro since Derek Bell in '98. He had a 21-game hitting streak at the Astrodome. 2 balls and a strike.
I threw more batting practice to Derek Bell and Luis Gonzalez a couple of years there, or at least 1 year.
2-2.
I'm going to take credit for that.
Well, you're part of it.
Might not have even been the same year.
Probably couldn't hit you though, could he?
Oh, he raked me around.
Altuve chases, and it's a foul tip strikeout. Number 4 for Shoemaker. Here's a question for you about batting practice. There are some down through the years who have suggested that that's not the best way to get a hitter ready for a ball game. What do you think?
I don't know. It's so individual. You know, I'll say another thing. Sometimes I think batting practice can be way overdone. I think bad habits can come about during batting practice sometime when you feel really good. Get out of there early once you've had some good swings. Maintain that positive approach.
Preston Tucker's 1 for 2 tonight. There's strike 1. Is it more to build confidence and just get loose?
Yeah, I think it's that combination. But a lot of guys will start taking some big hacks in BP and hitting some bombs, and then all of a sudden you realize you've taken a couple of funky swings and the confidence starts to blow the other direction. Right. Never good when that happens.
What would you say is the average velocity of a batting practice pitch?
Wow. Well, it begins with the pitcher standing either up to the front of the mound or even in front of the mound. And so it probably turns into what looks like about 75 to 80 miles an hour.
Trout in center field. Makes it a 1-2-3 fifth. And nobody's budging. No score through 5.
But it's time for Progressive Fan of the Game, and I've got 4 here. We've got Ryan, Will, Travis, and Alan. These guys are friends of Scott Kazmir. With a couple of them going to Cy Falls High School. One of them even playing baseball with Scott Kazmir back in high school. Hey, guys, thanks for the signs. You even got my name on one, so of course you're a fan of the game. But
know it.
Obviously big fans of him. You're friends with him. What were your thoughts when you found out he was being traded to the Houston Astros?
Well, my first thought initially was like, thank goodness I finally get to get rid of all this A's stuff. So we actually brought a trash bag full of our A's gear that we've collected over the years while he's been pitching.
Oh my!
Quite a bit of
yeah,
A's gear. We got hats. We've got Casmania T-shirts.
This is so bad.
This is all trash.
Well, you guys are close with Scott. He says he's obviously very excited to play for the Houston Astros, a team that you all grew up loving. So what did he tell you guys when he got traded?
He texted me right after he found out, and he couldn't be more excited. He literally he told me, and he said, I can't wait to get there. I'm super excited. And, I mean, all of us were. It was so hard just to, keep my composure and just not get too excited. And just a long out. We're good. No, I mean, when I found out, I couldn't really sleep that night. It was like a kid at Christmas because, I mean, he's a great friend of mine, and it's just something we've talked about for years growing up. So it was great.
That's the one who played baseball with him back in high school. Good stuff. Thanks for coming. Thanks for the signs. Enjoy the game, guys. Progressive Fan of the Game, Brownie, up to you.
Thanks, Julia. Well, it was Scott Kazmir at Cy Falls High School, and also right-hander Clint Everts, who also was a first-round draft choice off that same team. Fans of the game. Well, they get the sign and everything. They are well prepared. Cole Calhoun, after the fly ball to left by Victorino, takes that pitch, and it's ball 1. He's 0 for 2. Last night, the Angels' top 2 hitters went a collective 0 for 8 in that game. Ground ball, and the shift was on. It went the other way with a Calhoun single. Hit number 2 for the Halos.
It's a guy that's had a lot of success the last 2 seasons now, hitting balls to the left side against Houston. By the way, you've gotten some props on your Kreskin joke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a cutter slider there that Calhoun stays on and just shoots on the ground the other way.
Mike Trout has walked and grounded to second. Altuve shading up the middle for him. That's strike 1 to Trout. Trout felt some pain in that left wrist when he tried some swings before the Tuesday night game. That evidently has cleared up by now. It's a big bat to be missing in the lineup. It's 1-1. Angels are 8th in runs scored in the American League. Mike Scioscia's club 7-5 since the All-Star break. 10 games over 500 right now. In the air, and Valbuena comes over to foul territory with his back to the plate and reaches back and snags it. So the converted third baseman moving to first base takes care of out number 2.
Might have made that a tougher play than it needed to be. It's never easy going down a line like this, but you want to get there as quickly as possible and see if you can get turned. But if you can make the play, who cares? See how it wants to come back towards center field.
Yeah. With the mitt, he took care of it. Kazmir liked that.
Get the outs when they're presented.
Well, especially when Trout pops one up.
Yep.
We'll give him a second chance. Now Pujols, he's 0 for 2. Right side of the infield wide open for Albert. He looks at strike 1. He's a dead pull hitter on grounders. The outfielders are straight away, though. Scioscia is in his 16th year as the Angels skipper. That's in for a strike, and it's 0-2 to Albert.
That really makes me think about where does time go. It felt like, I don't know, maybe 8-10 years ago. Mike Scioscia and I were both managing in the minor leagues for different organizations, ran into each other in a spring training ball game one day, and just talked about things. And now he's become one of the true greats in terms of the managing profession.
Sure has. 7 playoff appearances for Scioscia's teams. In the air, and the right fielder Rasmus crosses over to foul ground, running out of room, and no play there.
I, on the other hand, just talk about what great managers do.
Well, it sounded like quite a power struggle a few weeks ago with Scioscia and former general manager Jerry Dipoto, who's no longer on the scene.
I think they've had some of those struggles over the past couple of seasons, but that apparently came to a head.
This crowd is buzzing. Kazmir versus Pujols. 0-0 game in the 6th. Change up, and he's not chasing. 1-2. Yoenis Cespedes has hit his 18th homer of the season tonight for Detroit. And according to reports, the phone is ringing about Cespedes for general manager Dave Dombrowski of the Tigers. Cespedes has 3 hits tonight, 3 runs batted in. His slugging percentage is .507. He could be going in a deal before 3 p.m. Central tomorrow. And this decision was only made a couple of days ago. Now Castro coming out to talk it over with Kazmir to try to restructure that Detroit club and move the potential free agents out if they get the right deal.
When Miguel Cabrera comes back from the injury, he's not going to know what team he's playing for anymore.
Yeah. Changing landscape for Miggy. Near the right field line, Rasmus over, tracking this one, and this time he does have room for the catch for round number 3. No runs, a hit, a man left. This crowd is into it. It's scoreless in the 6th.
Carlos Correa, that strike zone, the hot zone for Carlos. You can see the major league averages in blue, Carlos Correa's numbers in red, and he's been red hot on that inside portion of the plate, also up and down away. What's happening in the middle? When he starts hammering those pitches around, you can probably see the numbers even soar beyond what we're looking at, but he is a very dangerous hitter.
He leads it off in the home 6th inning. The game is scoreless. 2 hits for the Angels, 3 hits for the Astros. All 5 hits in the game have been singles. 4 stranded by the Angels, 5 by the Astros. Correa's 1 for 2. And there's strike 1.
It's that down and away zone where he's hitting. I can't remember what the figure was, but some ludicrous figure on that pitch.
Oh, a ludicrous reference.
Ludicrous, yeah.
Wow. Off speed comes in, and it's 0-2.
Well, we had J.J. Watt here today. And
yeah.
Well, you were meeting with Luda earlier.
Yeah. Okay. So they're waiting for the first run to score in this game and enjoying some ice cream while they do, as it's fouled back.
Well, this has been one of those tough at-bats.
Haven't seen anything that touched very much white so far, has it?
That's kind of the welcome to the big leagues at bat.
Yeah. That's off the plate, and it's 1-2. Carlos has walked 13 times. He has a .348 on base average. So you see the arsenal for Shoemaker. Fastball ahead of the count 50% of the time. And it's foul. Carlos was asked about being Rookie of the Year before last night's game, and he said, certainly, I'd love to do that. Out to center field, Trout waiting. 1 out. He said, I'd love to be an all-star every year. Oh, he has big goals. Not afraid to admit them. But he said, we're here to win, too. Valbuena's the batter.
This is an intriguing series, Brownie, beyond the obvious with 2 teams trying to win the division, but some of the star power now is starting to really pump up.
Infield has not shifted as much as it often is with Valbuena hitting. He fouls it back, and there's strike 1.
And that could indicate the way the Angels want to pitch him. I comment a lot of times about if you're going to pitch a left-hand hitter, for example, away and sometimes even off the plate, it's hard to believe that that shift is going to work out as often as you might get burned on it.
Rolls over on that one, and it's 0-2.
Of course, no sooner do I say that than Shoemaker throws one through the inner third of the plate.
Cincinnati is blasting Pittsburgh 14-2 in the 7th inning. Brandon Phillips has hit a pair of home runs. Upstairs for a ball. 1-2. Jay Bruce is still a Red. His name has been out there in trade rumors. He's driven in 3 runs tonight. Brandon Phillips has a 7 RBI game going with a couple of home runs. He's gone 4 for 5. Backhanded. Pujols then flipping to Shoemaker. 2 outs.
Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in True HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. You can do it with MLB.TV Premium. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch striking, and more. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for your details.
Jed Lowry was one of the hottest hitters in the American League in the month of April. He had a .432 on base average, .999 OPS, and then the thumb injury happened in San Diego. He's had 5 games at AA Corpus Christi to get ready to rev it up again. 0 for 2 tonight, 2 fly balls. strike one. And you see his on-base average is the highest on the team at 4.93 pitches or plate appearances per strikeout, and then the plate appearance for walks. So he's one of those guys who is a rally sustainer, shall we say, Ash. 1-1.
Yeah, and he's also that guy that, as we've talked about, makes contact, doesn't strike out nearly at the rate the Astros generally do. Hard to believe that San Diego series when Lowry was hurt was just less than 3 weeks into the season.
Yeah.
Lowry played 18 games.
So he's missed 3 months. Things have changed at shortstop. Karev has taken hold there, and Lowry plays another position. And A.J. Hinch says he probably will nurse Jed Lowry back into action, not playing him every day right off the bat. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And it's going to be primarily the left side of the infield. So if Carlos Correa needs a day off at shortstop, Lowry's probably the guy. There are several first basemen already on this team. Carter, Singleton, Marwin Gonzalez, and now the guy who's starting tonight, Valbuena. We've seen Hank Conger over there taking ground balls. He's not going to be playing first base. Fly ball to right. Calhoun comes in to end the 6th inning in a scoreless affair.
By your local Honda dealer. And here are your clues for today. He's a 5-time Silver Slugger. He got 1 Gold Glove. He was also coached by his dad in Little League and in high school, and coached in the Angels organization. This one's tough, guys.
It is tough. We thought about it, and we thought about it, and we thought about it, and then Carl Patterson gave us the answer.
I can tell by that silhouette. I know that guy. I know that silhouette.
Is that his actual silhouette?
I think so.
Someone else's silhouette.
Oh, that's it.
All right. Or is that Jim? 2 silhouettes on to shades.
You know, the fans have been asking for tougher. They got tougher.
Showing bunt, Ibar takes ball 1. He did bunt, and it was a single in the 2nd inning, bunting to third base. Then he grounded out in the 4th. Kazmir versus Shoemaker, and no score, just 5 hits, all singles. It's a strike, 1 ball, 1 strike, and the big news happened just a few minutes before game time tonight. The trade, the Astros and the Milwaukee Brewers hooking up on a deal. Ground ball, Lowry diving to his right, robs it. Better go back to bunting.
Lay it down there, Jed. Reaction position, especially when you're playing in as Lowry was. And then he came up with that nice little casual kind of submarine sidearm toss, which I like to see. Guys control that quite well. Crossover position. A lot of times you can't even, you don't get time to move your feet.
Excellent reaction time. Because of the bunt single earlier, he was in tight. Didn't have a whole lot of time to dive. C.J. Cron with ball one. Third base is quite different from shortstop in terms of not as much time to react. More of an instinctive type of position. And his instincts worked well. He got moving. 1-1. 1-2. Jed played third with Boston in 2011.
See how much Lowry was drawn in because of the threat of the bunt. And so it makes it all the more the reaction position. But he had plenty of time to make that play once he got to his feet.
Struck him out. 2 down. Strikeout number 4.
A changeup continues to be a big weapon for Scott. You see the grip? Grip it, throw it hard, and give that illusion of the fastball.
Chris Iannetta with a fly ball to right and a walk. Comes up for the third time. Iannetta certainly walks a lot. There is ball one.
I'm not seeing everybody jump at this name that Astro tonight.
You don't have any Twitter traffic?
Are you getting it?
Don't know. 1-1. We'll check between innings.
You staying off the highway?
Yeah. Focus on the game.
Well, you gave it away anyway.
I did. With what?
Oh, your little
silhouette?
Yeah.
Okay. 1-2. Well, you know, we've gone from one direction to the other with these degrees of difficulty on the who am I questions.
It's getting tougher, and that's a good thing.
Oh yeah. Folks want it. You ask, we'll try to do it for you. 27,598. The paid attendance tonight.
As long as they want us on that wall, they need us on that wall. We'll be on that wall.
Yeah, Chris Iannetta hit .252 last year, but had 54 walks. That made his on-base average .373. To left field, Tucker's out of room, but is there for the catch. In the 7th inning, it's 1-2-3. Lowry with an outstanding play on Ibar to keep this game scoreless. Anderson. 31 years ago today, Don Wilson struck out 9 hitters and collected win number 100 as an Astro. The win was especially sweet coming against his arch enemies, the Cincinnati Reds. And he no-hit the Cincinnati Reds the day after Jim Maloney no-hit the Astros. But that was the game 31 years ago today. Not the no-hitter, but win number 100.
Yeah, that was quite a talent.
Struck out 15 when he no-hit Atlanta. Double barrel bullpen action is going for Mike Scioscia right now. Trevor Gott on the right side.
Our fans are starting to get it, Brownie. They're all over it.
Are they?
Yep.
And the lefty is Ramos for the Angels. Shoemaker in this 0-0 game has retired 8 in a row. Colby Rasmus single to right center. He's 1 for 2. Infield shifts around. There is a check swing, ball 1. Marwin Gonzalez is on deck. Chris Carter is due up next. Carter 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts tonight. One ball, 1 strike. Red Sox lead the White Sox in the Battle of Sox 8-2. They're in the bottom of the 7th inning. Stephen Wright's going for Boston. Chris Sale started for the White Sox. He was tagged for 12 hits and 7 earned runs in 5 innings.
That's hard to believe.
Yeah.
That's not the guy. I've never seen that guy pitch.
Rasmus toward the left field corner. It's slicing, maybe a foul ball, and it is. Otherwise, Colby still be running. 1-2. Jose Abreu hit his 17th home run for the Sox tonight. That is the White Sox. Yeah, they're kind of trapped into keeping Jeff Samardzija right now, aren't they?
It would seem that way. I mean, they've won 7 in a row, and that's your hot team in baseball for the moment.
Right. Yankees 5, Texas 5, top of the 7th inning in Arlington. That's where the Astros will be next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Well, the Rangers sure gave up a ton of talent in that Cole Hamels deal. 2-2. Giovanni Gallardo allowed 5 earned runs in 6 innings tonight. Josh Hamilton hit his 4th homer. Fastball struck him out. That's number 5. And 9 straight retired by Shoemaker.
Got 2 pitchers dealing tonight. That's tonight's trade. Carlos Gomez, 16th in the MVP voting last year. He was higher than that the previous year. And he's got some down numbers this year, but he is ready to go and really makes this a very viable outfield for the Astros. Mike Fiers comes on as well. A guy that strikes out more than a man an inning, so we'll see how it works out.
Here's the pinch hitter, Marwin Gonzalez, 264, 7 homers, 22 runs batted in, 347 this month. Pinch hitting for Carter, who was 0 for 2. And strike 1. Marwin Tuesday night had a hit and 2 walks against the Angels. He started at first base. He's hit 345 in his last 32 games. As a pinch hitter, he's 1 for 5. Showing bunt, he takes it for a ball, and it's 1-1. Good energetic crowd tonight of 27,000 plus. Last night's crowd was 31,000 plus. Frank Trevino is getting a rare rest. Not sure why.
They do it by remote these days.
Okay. Oh, it's the 7th inning stretch for him. That's what it is. He's still stretching. Frank chatting it up there in the comfortable seats while his wife Margaret is at work very hard in the truck right now. Jason Castro's on deck. That's a punch out, and that's 6 for Shoemaker.
That's Senor Splitty that came on the scene with that pitch, just diving. You see where that started out. It looked like it was above the knees and winds up just about picking up some dirt.
Serious downward action. Castro has flied out twice. Both catchers have been in the mix very prominently here in the month of July. Been roughly a 50-50 split in playing time between Castro and Conger. There's strike one to Jason. And that does a couple of things. It means that if one guy gets hot, he can gain more playing time, but it keeps both guys alive for that possibility. That was close. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, quite often the backup catcher gets about 1 start a week. And then if he has to ramp it up, if there's an injury or a change in playing time, he may not be able to cope with all that extra activity. Grounder goes foul. 1-2.
I don't know if Julia's still down there in that photographer's well on the first base side. That went right through there.
Well, hopefully she vacated her spot.
I'm all good down here, guys.
Oh, you're good. Okay, you're still there.
Thumbs up.
Good.
I hope my friends are okay, though.
A lot of photographers down there with you tonight.
There are.
Is that more than the normal number?
I'd say so.
1 hopper to third. Featherston gunning to first. Gets Castro. That's 11 straight outs for Shoemaker. It's scoreless after 7.
Giveaways throughout the weekend include a Biggio Hall of Fame bobblehead, a replica pinstripe jersey, and a replica Hall of Fame plaque, each to 10,000 fans. There they are. For more information, visit Astros.com or call 1-877-9-ASTROS today. We've talked a lot about Luis Valbuena at first base, making his first career start there. Richie Dower got a chance to catch up with him on working with Valbuena all season long, really. This started back in spring training, so he hasn't made a start there, but he has been working there since spring training, even played in a game in spring training, very comfortable. But the glove he is using tonight, guys, it's actually Mark Trumbo's that he got from Albert Pujols. Pujols coming through because, of course, Valbuena did not have one ready to go for tonight's game. Funny how baseball works.
Yes, it is. Johnny Giovatella with ball 1 from Scott Kazmir, 8th inning underway. Correction on the strikeout total for Shoemaker. He has struck out 7, not 6. We're getting a lot of correct answers on Twitter for the Who Am I question. Congratulations to those of you who have answered it correctly. We're not allowed to give it away. There's a sharp single through the middle. Giovatella, it's hit number 3 for the Angels tonight. You're leading off the 8th. Runners aboard for Featherston. And in a game like this, sometimes it's sacrifice bunt time. Usually visiting teams don't like to play for one run on the road, but this is one of those exceptional nights when it's tough for anybody to get to third base.
Featherston's had his struggles with the bat too, hitting 139, and I would be very surprised if Mike Scioscia doesn't have him bunting.
Lowry's in close at third. Creeping in closer. The bunt goes first base side. Valbuena throwing to Altuve. And the sacrifice gets Giovatelli to second, 1 out. Victorino will have the RBI opportunity. We also had some folks on Twitter correcting. We said Don Wilson's 100th win came 31 years ago. They're saying it should be 41 years ago. Oh, what's a decade among friends?
There you go. That's the attitude I like to hear.
Thank you for that, folks. You're keeping us honest.
I like to know what path was the one that led a lot of these fans to tonight's Name That Astro.
Not sure. Joe Smith is warming up for the Angels. Shane Victorino's 0 for 3. Corner infielder's pinching in. He's been known to drop one down. Pick off at second. Giovatelli back. Base runners are precious tonight. The Angels have had 3 hits and 2 walks. The Astros have had 3 hits. They have a walk and a hit batter. Victorino takes, and there's a ball. Tony Sipp and Pat Neshek are at work in the bullpen for Houston. Kazmir just passed the century mark, as you can see in the upper left, with 102 pitches. In the dirt. Castro blocking it to prevent Giovatelli from moving to third base. He was waiting for the opportunity. It's 2-0. Every base could be very meaningful here in the 8th inning of a 0-0 game. Kazmir has a career ERA of 6.42 against the Angels. Now it's 3-0. Kazmir paying quite a bit of attention to the runner there at second base, Giovatelli.
Surprising. I thought maybe if it did miss, it might have been low, but high enough just off the outside edge.
That's a strike, and it's 3-1. Mark Teixeira, the former Ranger, has hit a couple of home runs for the Yankees tonight to give him 26. Yankees lead the Rangers 6-5 in the 7th.
Those Yankees are on the move, Brownie, in terms of the long ball.
Yeah. Off-speed pitch, and Victorino draws a walk. Now Calhoun will bat with 2 on and 1 out. Third walk for Kazmir. Scott worked 7 scoreless innings in his first Astros start. Now he's done it again here at the start of his second Astros start. Calhoun singled in the 6th inning. He's 1 for 3. Correa shading up the middle for Calhoun. He hit the ball into that area where Correa is playing right now, a little bit maybe to his right for his single back in the 6th inning. He swung, and it's strike 1. Milwaukee's leading the Cubs 2-0 there in the bottom of the 7th at Miller Park. Doug Melvin, their general manager, made the deal with Jeff Luhnow earlier tonight. Fouled away, and it's 0-2. Trout on deck. In the dirt. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Carlos Correa made a little move in behind Giovotella at second base right before Kazmir delivered to the plate. Might have been a window there for a pick.
Calhoun steps away. The Twins lead the Mariners 8-5. They're in the bottom of the 6th in Minnesota. Twins have hit the skids recently. Phil Hughes gave up 10 hits and 5 earned runs in 5 innings tonight. Ryan Dozier hit his 22nd bomb. A little cat and mouse game here with Calhoun and Kazmir.
Yeah, Dozier's been one of the main reasons the Twins have hung in there this year.
He really has. Outside, this one gets by, and the runners advance on the wild pitch. It's a 2-2 count now.
That's one of the sliders that Scott spins up there tonight. And you can see that slider rotation, spiral.
It's only his 3rd wild pitch.
He made this one pretty official.
Now the infield comes in. He got him on strikes. Very big strikeout for out number 2 with runners at 2nd and 3rd. A.J. Hinch is coming out.
That's timely. And Calhoun went after one like this last night.
Another terrific start for Scott Kazmir. Standing ovation for the Houston native. He tips the cap, and they have loved this night's performance from Scott Kazmir. Scoreless game. Pat Neshek coming in. We'll be right back.
Call to the bullpen as Pat Neshek comes on a big situation. Mike Trout at the plate. Albert Pujols waits on deck. Runners at 2nd and 3rd. 44th game for Pat, and he's pitched a lot against the Angels with good success of 142. Ernie, And that 186 opponent's batting average against, 34 strikeouts, 6 walks. Great numbers.
Mike Trout is 0 for 2 with a walk. Pat Neshek with runners at second and third, 2 outs in a scoreless game. Trying to get Trout with Albert Pujols on deck. Trout looks at it. It's strike one from Neshek.
Trout's been taking first pitches all night long, and I bet you he would like to have that one back.
Yeah. He's 2 for 9 against Neshek with 5 punch outs. Neshek looked at 1-2-3 8th inning last night in the Astros 6-3 win. Got his 23rd hold of the year. In the air. Valbuena will not have a crack at it. A lot of orange there. No balls, 2 strikes to Trout. This is really an excellent crowd tonight. Great job on inherited runners being stranded by Pat Neshek this year. Only 1 of 15 inherited runners has scored. Crowd with a little check swing foul into the crowd. Keeps alive at 0-2. He gets another bat. Blue Jays beat the Royals 5-2 in Toronto. Marco Estrada the winner, beating Danny Duffy. Josh Donaldson hit his 25th home run. Troy Tulowitzki led off. He was 0 for 3. Scott Kazmir watching as Neshek tries to put out the fire here. Astro bullpen has the 2nd lowest ERA in the American League. Neshek has been a big part of that. 1-2 to Trout. Two balls and 2 strikes. Are you an advocate when calling the game throw on 2-2 what you would throw on 3-2?
Not always. I don't want to get caught in a rut where you get figured out really easily, but you have to be willing to do that. I'll say that.
He got him on strikes. What a job by Neshek and Kazmir here in the 8th inning. Runners at second and third, 1 out, and it's no runs, 1 hit, 2 men left. This crowd is energized in a scoreless game in the 8th.
to Name That Astro. It's brought to you by your local Honda dealer. Here were your clues we gave you earlier. The answer would be Mike Hampton. Mike won 5 straight Silver Sluggers from 99 to 03 and is the first pitcher to ever win a Silver Slugger and Gold Glove in the same season. That Gold Glove snapped Greg Maddox's 13-year Gold Glove streak. There he is, Mike Hampton, guys.
The Bulldog. Thanks, Julia.
In my book, the best defensive pitcher I've ever watched play.
Tremendous. The crowd really into it. No score. Exciting baseball, though. And now the home 8th inning will bring a pitching change for the Angels. Right-hander Joe Smith coming in 43 games, 4-3 with a 3.07 ERA.
Been really good on the road. Explain that one, pitching in Anaheim. That's a pretty good pitcher's ballpark, but he struggled there. And he's already worked in 5 games against the Astros this year.
Luke Gregerson warms up for Houston. Jake Marisnick leads it off. Great job by Matt Shoemaker. Inside ball 1. He retired the last 11 he faced. In 7 innings, he allowed 3 hits, no runs, walking 1, fanning 1, hitting a batter, threw 100 pitches, 66 were strikes. Ground ball, and here's Ibar charging and unable to. Yes, he does get him. That was a great recovery by Ibar. That ball coming up off his glove, and he quickly got it in his bare hand and threw. Now we'll see if the Astros want to challenge this call at first by Chad Fairchild. Marisnick is staying on the base.
When I saw the bobble, I thought there's no chance to get Marisnick. Ibar stuck with it, and now we'll see how this plays out here. Nicely done, Jake.
Going to play out favorably for the home team.
Yes, it is. Or should. Are they going to find a way to say too close to change that?
Not if they're looking at the replay we just saw.
Yeah, that certainly appeared that Jake had his foot on the bag.
The fans are now cheering because they see the freeze frame up on the big board, El Grande, and they are clapping because they realize that this call is about to be overturned.
Jake gets that heel on the ground. Yeah, is the foot on the bag there is the question.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, I would say yes as well. What I'm presenting is what the folks in New York are going to say. Is that foot touching the bag? I think so.
It is. Rich Dower, the first base coach, with the safe sign. Marisnick looking back at the bench immediately to indicate that call should be part of a manager challenge. Call was made by Chad Fairchild. The crew chief is Greg Gibson. George Springer and Jake Marisnick, very good friends. Share a smile there. If this isn't overturned, that smile's going to disappear in a hurry from their faces. Ibar did make a quick recovery, didn't he?
He certainly did. See, I think that they've been debating that issue in New York, and they finally see it your way, Brownie.
They got it right.
We got a lot of folks completely agree. That's a great way to start an inning.
And Marisnick might take off on Joe Smith. Should be ruled an error on Ibar. It is an error on Ibar, his 10th of the year. Altuve's the batter. Here's Iannetta talking it over with Smith now. The Astros get their first base runner since the 4th inning. Marisnick is 14 for 19 in steals. Preston Tucker on deck. Altuve 0 for 2, hit by a pitch. Big point in this game now. Featherston is in close at third base. Double play depth for Giovitella and Ibar. And a step back and a throw over.
A lot of times that throw over is to see if the hitter tips himself off. Is there any bunt intended?
Smith, with his delivery, requires a little extra delivery time to get the ball to home plate. Really draws the arm back, and there's ball one.
And yet he's got a bit of a slide step going on there and trying to make life tough on Jake.
Smith, 31 years old, from Cincinnati, went to Wright State. Drafted by the Mets in 06. He had 76 appearances last year. Runner going, and it's fouled by Altuve. He hit it hard.
Don't know if that was a hit and run or Jake just happened to be on the move when Altuve was swinging it, but Jake had a little double take in that initial move leaving from the bag, and therefore I would think it was the hit and run.
Scott Kazmir really had a night, didn't he? Yeah, that was a double take.
And Scott just pitching great baseball now with his new club.
Scott's ERA came down to 2.10, which is now the best in the American League, a little bit better than Sonny Gray. 7 2/3 innings, a 3-hit shutout ball. Walking 3, fanning 5, throwing 111 pitches. Altuve fouls it. 1-2.
Jose took a nice shot toward right field, that big opening on the right side of the infield.
Each club has 3 hits tonight. All singles. The Astros stranded 2 in the first and 2 more in the third. Altuve up the middle. There's the throw to second, and Ibar makes it a double play. He winds up face down, having turned a 1-6-3 double play. Good job by Ibar.
Jake Marisnick gave him a go down there at second base. That's the way you have to play the game. Right over the bag, Jake gets him.
It's hard-nosed baseball.
It is. Nobody's going to beef about that kind of baseball, or shouldn't.
Excellent job by Ibar. Taking that throw from Smith. Now 2 outs, and it's Tucker. Preston 1 for 3 tonight. Reyes on deck. The Angels will have Pujols, Ibar, and Cron due up in the 9th inning.
Good time to get yourself a good swing.
Ball 1. Two balls and no strikes. Had a blown save against the Astros in Anaheim June 22nd. He gave up 2 runs in 2/3 of an inning in that game. Falling behind Tucker now, it goes to 3-0. And green lighting, Tucker fouls it. 3-1 count.
I have no problem with that. You got a guy that can hit the long ball. You got a 3-0 count. Find yourself a groove job and crush it.
Left-handed hitters are at 263 with no homers off Smith this year. Into center field. Tucker singles his way on with 2 outs.
Kick off your weekends at Minute Maid Park with the best fireworks show in town, presented by Marathon Oil Corp. The next Friday night fireworks is tomorrow night when the Astros take on the Diamondbacks. For more information, visit astros.com/fireworks. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
Carlos Correa is 1 for 3 tonight. That's strike 1 to Carlos. Foul ball, and it's 0-2.
Rightly so, Carlos Correa and Lance McCullers have gotten a huge amount of credit for what they've done as rookies this year, but I'm going to pass some of that around on Preston Tucker. He really plays the game well.
Tucker's 2 for 4 tonight. Fly ball, Trout in center field waiting. And the 8th. No runs, a hit and a man left. There was an error as well. It's 0-0 heading to the 9th. By Scott Kazmir as an Astro in this ballpark.
2 outings now with the club, 2 shutout outings, and certainly giving the Astros a shot to win tonight. They have to find some offense, but he used all the pitches. Some left-handed bats, saw that slider tonight. Again, a lot of work with the fastball and changeup, and when it's all said and done, Angels didn't have an answer.
Fourteen and 2/3 scoreless innings with the Astros, allowing a total of 6 hits. His ERA is now the best in the American League, 2.10.
And you can see he's not doing it by blowing hitters away. Not a whole lot of strikeouts. Just has them off balance. A lot of softly hit balls.
Luke Gregerson is 3-1 with 21 saves and 24 tries, 3.38 ERA. Last night he struggled and gave up 4 hits and 2 runs in his 1 inning, but the Astros won it 6-3. Albert Pujols the batter. And there's strike 1 to Pujols. That Neshek went 1/3 of an inning. Got a key strikeout of Mike Trout with runners at 2nd and 3rd. Get the only out he needed. It's 0-2 to Pujols. Ibar and Cron to follow. The Astros will have Valbuena, Lowry, and Rasmus 2 up in their 9th inning. And Salas is warming up for the Angels. And Jose Alvarez, a lefty now. Pujols struck out. Strikeout number 7 for Astros pitching tonight. The fans loving that one.
A little polish here with the slide piece. And after that previous pitch, the fastball running down and in, this slider very effective.
Eric Ibar is 1 for 3. He bunted for a hit in the second inning. He hit a smash, and Jed Lowry diving to his right made a big time play on him last time up. He's 3 for 7 against Gregerson. Showing bunt there and taking a strike. Gregerson threw 25 pitches last night. He had not pitched in several days. One and one. Flick foul. It's a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Both of these teams have won 9 games via shutouts, and they've been shut out 6 times, both of them. Houston Street is the closer for the Angels, joining the lefty Alvarez now. Fouled by Ibar. He stays alive at 1-2. Alfredo Simon 1 for Detroit and a wild one at Baltimore. 9-8. Gregerson's 31 from Park Ridge, Illinois. He was with Oakland last year. That's foul. Well, back up into the seats. Luke came up after being drafted by the Cardinals. He was traded to San Diego for shortstop Khalil Green back before the 09 season started, and started pitching many games for the Padres that same year. He had 5 years with San Diego and 1 with Oakland before the Astros signed him as a free agent. Foul ball. Still 1-2. The Padres doing anything on the trade front that you know of tonight, Ash?
Not that I've seen. But I wouldn't be surprised if they get involved at some point here.
Not at all. C.J. Cron's on deck. It's 2-2. Ibar grounds. Gregerson's there. 2 outs.
And now a closer look at tomorrow's pitching matchup presented by Chevron. Care for your car. As the Arizona Diamondbacks come to town for 3. Scott Feldman gets the start against De La Rosa for the D-backs. Scott trying to get back to 500 on the year, 4-5 as he enters play tomorrow night. And every game's a big game. Every series a big series now for the Astros.
Scott Feldman watching as Luke Gregerson works the 9th inning here. C.J. Cron's the batter. He's 0 for 3. Fly ball out to center field. Marisnik helps Gregerson to a 1-2-3 ninth. We go to the bottom half. Valbuena, Lowry, and Rasmus 2 up to try to win it in the ninth. Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. By HEB. No store does more than my HEB. And by Brake Check. Every fourth oil change is free, even on synthetic. Downtown Houston, and the American League West leadership belongs to Houston by 1 game over the Angels. The Rangers are 8 behind. Mariners trailing by 11, and the Athletics by 12 in the AL West. The Angels are trying to claim a share of the lead by winning this game. It's 0-0. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning now, and their third pitcher of the night is warming up. He is lefty Jose Alvarez, 2-1 with a 3.48 ERA.
Alvarez now in his 35th game of the season, and he's allowed just 33 hits in 41 1/3 innings. 3 of those hits long balls.
He worked last night, giving up 3 hits and 2 runs in 1 inning in the Astros 6-3 win. Luis Valbuena leads it off. He is 0 for 2 with a walk. There's strike 1 to Valbuena. Marwin Gonzalez has been used as a pinch hitter for Chris Carter. Evan Gattis is available as a right-handed batter, and there's switch hitter Hank Conger on the bench. Valbuena gets the at-bat against the lefty. Jed Lowry is on deck, and then Colby Rasmus is due to bat third. So the lefty Alvarez is in there against a couple of left-handed hitters. Salas was warming up, and so was Houston Street. It's 1-1. Joe Smith in 1 inning allowed 1 hit, no runs. Did not have a walk or a strikeout. Valbuena takes a look. It's 2-1 for Luis.
Been a while since that last long ball for Luis.
'78 at bats. 2-2. He's hit 175 against lefties for 97 at bats this season with 5 homers. And Rasmus is 2 up third, has hit 221 against lefties, thereby giving you the reason for the selection of Alvarez here. He gets a punch out, 1 out.
Came right after him with the heater.
Strikeout number 8 for Angel pitching. Jed Lowry is 0 for 3 tonight in his return to the Astros. He is 0 for 14 this season against the Angels. A.J. Hinch talked about the fact that Jed had had some good at-bats hitting right-handed for Corpus Christi in his 5 rehab games. And that was a test because of the repaired right thumb.
Again, we've talked about it in the early goings, those early 18 games. Lowry with 4 home runs, 3 of them from this side of the plate.
And a .474 batting average for his first 19 major league at bats this year from this side of the plate, but it's been 3 months. Inside, and it's 1-1. Rasmus on deck. Jose Altuve had a walk-off homer here against Boston not long ago. 1-2.
Stay tuned after the game as the studio crew breaks down all the action from tonight's game, plus interviews from the clubhouse and much more. That's on the Astros postgame show, presented by Houston Methodist.
That was just a week ago that Jose went deep to win that game with 1 out in the bottom of the 9th. It's 2-2. Jose has the other walk-off hit for the Astros here at home. That was April 30th against Seattle. Astros have won 9 times this year in their final at bat. Lowry takes, and it's a full count. In his career, he's a .283 hitter as a right-handed batter. And that's the walk. Lowry's aboard with one out for Colby Rasmus. Rasmus singled in the 4th inning. He's 1 for 3. Marwin Gonzalez is on deck. The infield is in the shift.
Lowry, excuse me, did have one stolen base in the early goings this year in one try. So see if the Astros at any point have the notion of running.
Putting that sliding mitt on his right hand. Rasmus looks at it, and it's ball 1. All kinds of space on the left side of the infield for Rasmus with the shift on. Even at 1-1. Padres got 3 in the 9th and beat the Mets 8-7.
Colby didn't look like he thought that was a strike, and he's right.
Two balls and a strike. Angel bullpen is a 3.52 ERA. Alvarez with 14 walks in 42 innings. Missing there. 3-1 now to Rasmus.
Well, if you're inclined to run, this might be the count where you do it.
Rasmus with a drive to center field. Trout back into left center calling. 2 outs. Lowry back to first. And Marwin Gonzalez comes up. Mike Socha's on his way to the mound. He wants the right-hander. Marwin, as a right-handed batter, had .313, left-handed .233. Socha will take it from the left-handed side. Or will he? Because he's taking off his helmet and going back to the bench. So Fernando Salas, the right-hander, is in, and looks like A.J. Hinch might make a move. Well, we'll find out. Marwin's still standing there. We'll sort it out and be right back to the game scoreless. had brought him from Milwaukee earlier this evening. Gomez will be one of the Astros outfielders very soon after this deal, bringing him and the right-handed pitcher Mike Fiers. There was also an international signing slot in the deal for Astros minor league prospects. Dynamic player who has helped Milwaukee for years after coming up with the Mets, being to the Twins. And there is a look at his season so far in 74 games. Fiers is 5-9. He's been in the rotation for Milwaukee.
Those numbers for Gomez not matching what he's done the past couple of years. But he ought to be excited to get to a first-place ball club and have a chance to be in this pennant race. Mike Fiers, the one number that really jumps out, more strikeouts than innings pitched.
Now Marwin Gonzalez, he just went back to get his other batting helmet as he's now turned around to hit left-handed. That's why he was back at the bench. And he's hitting against Salas. Here's strike one. Fernando Salas has a 1-1 record, a 3.89 ERA. Coming in with Lowry at first and 2 outs in a scoreless game in the bottom of the ninth. With a whip of 1.04 and an ERA of 1.69 this year against the Astros. A former St. Louis Cardinal. Salas now 30 years old, from Mexico. Gonzalez struck out in the 7th inning when he was pinch hitting for Chris Carter. That's when starter Matt Shoemaker was still in the game. He and Scott Kazmir dueled into the 8th inning. It's foul back and it's 0-2. Salas came in Tuesday night and worked a scoreless inning. The Astros won that game 10-5. He gave up an RBI triple to Evan Gattis, but he was not charged with a run. And the inherited runner scored on that. Softly hit over shortstop. That will be a hit in front of Mike Trout. Lowry going to second base, and it's first and second with 2 outs on the looping single by Marwin Gonzalez. Now Jason Castro will bat.
What a valuable player, Marwin Gonzalez. Just off the end of the bat. Very tough pitch. One you don't want to take. You don't want to leave that in the umpire's hands. Watching Jed Lowry the whole way, wondering if he could go to third, and that was a shot of Lance McCullers trying to urge him onto third base.
Jason Castro is 6 for 54 with runners in scoring position. For a 111 batting average in these situations this season, this could really help him offensively if he can come through here. And a strike one for Salas. Castro takes, and it's 1-1 to Jason. Stanford product. He had 3 hits in the series in Kansas City over the weekend. The Astros now have 5 hits, all singles. The Angels have 3, all singles. Nobody's made it to third base for Houston. Angels had runners at second and third with 1 out in the 8th inning, but then they failed to score. One and 2 to Castro.
That was right about there in the wheelhouse for Jason. Yeah, that's the one you want to get. Put your batting tee up, and that's the one.
Jake Marisnick's on deck. High drive, right field. Can he do it? Jason Castro! He won the game! He won the game in Houston. Jason Castro hit it out for a 3-run homer. The Astros sweep the series and go up by 2 as Castro delivers. A night to celebrate. The Astros frustrated all night long. 2 men on, 2 outs, a 1-2 pitch, and Castro delivered a bolt.
That is some kind of fun. And when you've had a rough year, a night like this can do everything to turn it around. And like you say, Brownie, the 2-game lead now for the club. Jason missed the one down the middle, but he did not miss this one. And the Angels leave town having lost all 3 games. Psychologically, that has to be very big.
That's the 10th win in the final at bat. The 3rd walk-off for the Astros, their 2nd walk-off homer of the year, and Castro flipped the bat. What a moment. The Astros now 9-3 since the All-Star break. They go to 36-17 at home, where the excitement just continues to grow. They've won 7 straight in this ballpark, and right now they have a 2-game lead on the Angels. It's looking very good for the Astros, who made their most recent trade earlier tonight. And then they had a thriller of an evening, winning it 3-0 in the bottom of the 9th.